Joining us today is actor, writer, producer, and director Danny Arroyo. Danny, hello.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me today here.
It is a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a couple, 2, 3 years since we last connected. Where I saw you out here in LA.
A little longer than that, in fact.
Where did time go? How are you doing? How is everything over where you're at right now in Jersey?
Fortunately, we're very good. Yeah, thankfully, everyone is healthy.
I'm great. One, I'm glad that you're safe. Your family's safe during this time. It's what a strange time it is in the world right now. A place where I think we really just have to start understanding, being patient, being more loving with one another, and hopefully we can come out the other end stronger. Because right now there's so much friction and turmoil. But I think being an optimist, this time next year we're going to see great change. So I've been kind of going on YouTube, taking a lot of the different seminars and classes, and just watching about, let's say, the stock market, learning about how to make passive income. I started an online comic book store because I'm kind of a nerd and kind of a geek. You can see Iron Man back there. I'm a big Spidey, Batman, Superman, especially fan. So I buy key comic books, and then I kind of sell them, or I keep it for my collection. So I'm doing a lot of different things I've never would have done before because I've always been busy either with acting or writing or producing, which I still do now. I still write scripts. Like right now, I just got booked to rewrite a screenplay right now that's due in 7 days. So
Wonderful.
I'm grateful to still be able to do that. But I want to come out of this quarantine just a better person than how I came in. I have more time to meditate and hopefully, maybe even learn a language. Like maybe get better at my Spanish because it definitely could use a lot of work. My Spanish is, I sound like a gringo when I speak Spanish. So maybe it's time to come out of this quarantine and sound like I actually, have parents and family who are fully Latin.
Your family, speaking of Latino, you're Puerto Rican, Dominican, and a little French
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, my mom is from the Dominican Republic. That's where she's living right now with my dad. They're retired. My dad's Puerto Rican, and my grandfather, he had French in him. He was Dominican and French, and a nice little mix there. I don't speak any French at all, but maybe that's the language I should study while I'm in quarantine. So why not? I have the time.
Spanish, don't forget the Spanish.
No, yes, yeah. Well, I'll get better with Spanish when I make more Spanish friends, which I have many, and make it a point to speak Spanish to them only. And then now we can get, that's how I'll get better with that. Since I already know the language, I just got to keep practicing, get my tongue back to, rolling my R's and saying things correctly.
Well, you have a new friend here, so from now on, only in Spanish. Not this interview, though.
Not this interview. Ahora tú no quieres hablar español conmigo porque yo sueno como un gringo, pero tú me puedes entender.
Muy bien. That sounds great. I thought, honestly, I wasn't sure what to expect. That was pretty good. And the accent felt like a Spanish accent.
Did it really? No.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
Right.
I'm honest because I'm a stickler for grammar.
How's your time in quarantine been?
A lot of binge watching. In fact, it was because of my binge watching that I came across one of your films. So I was looking. So I went through Hulu. I went through Netflix. So I went through like everything online after I'd seen everything on. I still have cable. I'm one of the few people that still pays for cable.
Really? Okay.
So I still do. And so I got through all my movies, my shows, and now I'm just looking randomly. And so I start watching something that looks, somewhat interesting. And I'm watching, and I'm like, wait a minute, I think I know him.
Jeez.
And so I'm looking, and I'm like, no. So I continued watching, and when I met you, and we were talking about this before camera, you had blue eyes.
Yes,
in this
that's
movie. And a few minutes ago, when I looked at you deep in your eyes, they're not blue.
yeah. I wore blue
Danny.
contacts. I wore blue contacts for a period of time, and I still will, depending on whatever character I might be playing on a film. So when you met me, I guess I still had my blue eyes, and the contacts they're prescription too. So I guess when you met me, I had that because I was doing a project. Never took him out. I just had that. So, my eyes are naturally very dark brown, very, very soulful and very dark brown. But when you met me, I had blue eyes.
So that everybody knows, before the interview started, I asked him to come into the computer because I wanted to look at his eyes. And then I asked him, when I met you, they were blue. So for anyone that didn't know that, his eyes are brown, soulful brown.
Yeah, very soulful, very Latin right now.
But I was watching the movie, and I continued watching. I was toward the end of the movie, and I couldn't help myself. I was like, I gotta tell him, because I was just so amused, and I hadn't reached out to you in a number of years.
Yeah, we haven't talked in a minute. Yeah.
And so it was one of those moments that I thought, in recent years, I don't believe things are coincidence. And it was one of those moments that I thought, oh, that may be odd. He hasn't heard from me in a while. And I thought, no, this actually seems appropriate. And I was like, I'm just going to send him a message and tell him that I happen to be watching this.
Yeah. I'm glad you did. And know that there is no such thing as coincidence. There's only synchronicity. The universe only speaks in that language. You may call it coincidence, but it really is. Things are just aligning and flowing the way they need to be. And for whatever reason, you came across my film, the inspiration came to reach out, and here we are, a week or two later, we're having this amazing interview. It's all meant to be. Never a coincidence, never, happenstance, don't think anything more of it. No, there's a reason why.
No, and hence 2 weeks later, because it was about 2 weeks ago,
that
I then thought about it, and you made a comment, or we talked about it, and he said, we can do an interview. And it was maybe a day or two later, I gave it more thought. And I was like, actually, that would be great. And hence we are here today.
Here we are.
You then shared with me another movie that you also wrote. You wrote, you directed, and you starred in the movie, Bite. Yeah. So because you asked me to watch it, I'm like, absolutely, I'm going to offer my support. So I'm watching the movie, and I got myself comfy. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this movie. Didn't know what to expect. Thought, okay, maybe horror. We'll see Bite. Okay, I'm in for this. So I start watching, and it starts off really, had kind of like an 80s, 90s vibe. I don't know why right now What's Happening popped into my head. I don't know if you ever saw that show. What's
Happening with Rerun and Raj. Yeah.
That movie suddenly popped into my head, or that show. But it had a certain vibe that it didn't make me think, contemporary. And it was just, so I see this young man, coming in, and, he's there with his wife or girlfriend, and I don't want to ruin it for anyone. So I'm like, this is cool. Like, I'm feeling some comedy here. And all of a sudden, a few minutes in, I see a hand popping out of something, out of a pouch or something. And I'm like, what just happened? And clearly, it doesn't take me very long to figure out what it's about. I had to stop the movie, because it brought a memory to me of something. And I was like, oh, no, he didn't really. Like, why would he want to do a movie about this? I'm like, all right, this has got to be a comedy. So I took a few minutes, I composed myself, and then I played again, and I finished watching it, and it was funny. It was really funny. You then shared with me, and I'd love for you, I want people to watch it, so I don't want to ruin it for anyone. How did you come up with the idea for this?
Okay. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your kind words. This is I had gone back to college. Even though all my years of having gratefully and thankfully been acting and writing projects and producing things, I felt I needed more to learn, so I went back to college. I'm sorry that the screen moved like that. I went back to college to learn and become a better director and become a better writer. And this film called Bite was my thesis. And they always said, write about what you know. And I had the terrible experience of one day walking out of my apartment, seeing that a neighbor was moving, and they had thrown away a lot of their furniture. They had a dresser. And in the film that I made, it's a beanbag because it's easier to carry. But out in real life, it was a dresser. It looked great. I was thinking about repainting it, being all creative and doing this great stuff. Brought it into the apartment. And within 2 days, my place was infested with bed bugs. Like I woke up at the time I had a girlfriend. She woke up, just bites all over. I'm looking on the sheet. I see them crawl. It was so bad. It took me about 2 months to having tried everything from exterminators a couple times to I had a dog come in that would sniff them out, and I was like, "Great, you're sniffing them out, but now what? I know they're here. Like, what does it matter if you go? There's one in the closet. There's 100 all over the place." So I went through that was very traumatic. I don't want to belabor it. It was very traumatic because I didn't know what to do. I had to throw everything away. Um, and what you saw in the film, the end conclusion, what I used to finally get them and that got them, that's what got them. But the exterminator didn't matter because I exterminated, I come back home, a day later, stay at a friend's house, and I move like a table, and there was like a bunch of them chilling there, just like having a party, and then they were like scattered. So I was like, this is not working. So anyway, as you can see in the poster here, that's the poster for Bite. If anybody ever does want to see it, I'm happy to send you the link to watch it. It's great. It's on Shorts TV right now. And Bite is my college thesis about my experience with the bed bugs. And I made it into a comedy because it definitely was my horror story, but I thought it'd be better to tell it in a more comedic fashion where the bed bugs, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but most people already are aware. I didn't know how to make the bed bugs in my film tiny and animated like I would wanted it to be in Disney. So I came up with a unique idea of how to film these bed bugs in my apartment, and it seemed to really work. Bite has been submitted to a numerous amount of film festivals, and we've won almost 10, 12 awards already, from Best Comedy, Best Dramedy, Best Short, Best Actor, Best Sound. We've won. It's been great. It's been a wonderful ride. That was the long version. Sorry for having to go so long with
No,
that.
not at all. That was wonderful. I didn't know. So you went back to school in recent years.
I did. I've been to the Los Angeles Film School. Um, I was really debating about it. I was like, do I go back? Like, I know what I'm doing, and this and my ego was fighting me, and I had to sit there and go, ego, let it go. If you have the opportunity to go and learn, do so. And in 3 years, I got my bachelor's degree in directing, writing, and film production, which is great. Bite is the result of it. I made a number of friends who were going to be friends for life, who will work together, and it was a tremendous experience. Like, sad that it was over. Like, I wasn't sure about starting it. Sad it finished. So it was wonderful, and I have a great memory now, which is bites and stuff. And by the way, that's Juliana, my co-star in the film. She's from Colombia, just like where you're from. You're from Colombia as well.
I
Yeah,
knew I liked her when I saw her.
yeah. She's very talented. She helped me produce it. She's a big reason why this film worked, because as I'm trying to direct it and get it going, produce it, I'm the writer, and I got to act on it too as well. And she, as a producer, stepped up and really kept the film together and did a lot of the things that I needed help in it. And she's tremendous and great in the film. Very funny, really very talented. So shout out to Juliana.
Oh, that's so nice. So no, I think that's wonderful that you took it upon yourself to further your education, learn more about the industry. No, congratulations, kudos.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, I recommend it. Um, I do a lot of motivational speaking now to people like who are starting off in the industry, and they say, should I go to film school? And there's a question I get, and I go, if you have the means, yes. But if you also have the means to go to film school, you also have the means to maybe buy a great camera and buy the equipment and maybe just start shooting as many different short films as possible. They can be as long as a minute, and then as long as 40 minutes, anywhere between. So that could be your film school. I mean, it's what, like, someone like Spike Lee did. He just had the equipment and he made his own films. I mean, much respect to that. I could have done that as well too, but I really wanted the experience of going back to school and being in a circle of friends. So that was my big reason why I did that. But the, keep filming as much as you can if you have the chance to film, because if you can't afford a camera, I guarantee you have friends around that do, that maybe have the same vision. Or if you don't know how to write, you can find plenty of writers that have plenty of material. There's no reason not to always be working, not to always be filming, not to always showing your world your talents.
And you've been working for quite a while. So you're actually from my neck of the woods. You actually grew up in New Jersey. How
Yeah.
long did you live in New Jersey before you moved out to California?
Let's see. I was born in New York. I was born in the Bronx, and then was raised in Jersey for a number of years. My dad was a cop in New Jersey.
Oh,
So for a while, how many years now? I lived there for a while. I New York, New Jersey, probably about 20 years, and then been out here now for a number of years. I mean, I don't know where time goes, but my goodness, time flies. But I did start my career out there, and I was doing some theater, um, getting my feet wet, trying to figure out the industry. And then when I realized that the winters were kind of kicking my butt in New York and having to walk to auditions in snow and this, and your nose is dripping and your ears are red and you're having to, I was like, boy, I hear LA is really good in February and then it's nice and warm. And I came out, thought I would stay maybe a month, just kind of test the waters, and I never left. I wound up staying. So yeah, I came out. So I had a comic book collection that I got rid of a lot of books. Had a tax return, and with that money, came out here and rented out an apartment. Got a car, and just got with it. Just got with it. Yeah.
did you start working immediately? Because you said you got your feet wet in the New York area.
Yeah. Well, when you come, like when I came out here, and I tell people who don't live here but they're thinking about it, I go, don't just come out here and go, now what? I knew I was coming out, and at the time, it was okay to send postcards to. What I did was I looked up addresses, physical addresses, and names of people, managers, agents, and I sent them a postcard about a month prior, saying, "My name is Danny Arroyo. I'm going to be in Los Angeles, so and so date, until so and so date. Would love to have a meeting with you." And then about a week prior, sent another. I mean, like 500 postcards. I mean, it costs money, postcards to make, stamps, but I got like 25, 30 calls saying, want to have a meeting with you, want to have a meeting with you. So when I got out here, like within a day of having, stayed at, a friend of mine let me stay at his place for the month until I decided if I was going to stay or not. So I had a place to stay. But within a day of arriving, I had a meeting the following day, a meeting the following day after that. So I had like 10 meetings lined up. And within those meetings there, found an agent, found a manager, started auditioning immediately. And then like within 2 weeks, I was like, I knew I was going to stay here. Yeah, I was getting busy. I was working. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Working, auditioning. And then eventually the work would come as I got better in my craft.
That's wonderful. And as you talk about your craft, you've worked on numerous projects. We've already mentioned a few. Another one is Sangre Negra. That one's starring Eric Estrada.
Yeah,
Which,
Eric is the man. Eric is the man. Let's see. Sangre Negra is that show is really very personal, and I feel really proud of that show because that is one of the first independently funded TV shows. They're very expensive to make. And we started off with this idea, at least the two producers who had reached out to me, expressing an interest in playing the role of Christian Santos, who is a LA police officer. Um, they were thinking about making a web series. And I was like, yeah, great, let's do it. I love the script. And they were seeing how our chemistry and things were working out, and it was evolving, and soon it became an hour-long series. And now we've shot 8 episodes, 1 hour long each. We're finishing up editing. And as of right now, the El Rey Network has expressed an interest in showing the shows. We're hoping it'll be sometime this year, but we're also open to maybe a Netflix or Hulu picking it up. And it would be great to see, Sangre Negra out there, a show about, affluent Latinos. I play a cop, my brother plays a defense attorney, and our other brother is a gangster. So my job is to arrest my brother because I am, all about police and justice. And then he hires our brother to defend him. So there's a nice there's something going on there. Yeah, we call it a Sopranos and Dallas
Ah,
mix with an Empire flair.
yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a great time. So I mean, shout out to Tony and Ricardo and Frank, our director, who they've really held this together. It's sometimes hard when you run out of money and we're so close to finishing and maybe we have to hold off for a few months and then we come back strong and we're filming. But we got ourselves 8 great episodes that we're so ready to show the world. And actually, the pilot episode can be seen on Amazon, which is where we got the interest from the El Rey Network and other people, because we thought, let's put it out there and see if there's any interest. And there you go. We got some interest.
With the cast of characters that you have, I'm thinking it had to have been fun on the set. Like, were there fun things that were done,
Yeah.
said, and it was a primarily Latino cast? Not all, but the majority of the cast
So
are
it's
Latinos.
an eclectic cast. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're talking about Sangre Negra's main core are Latinos. We wanted to show Latinos in a different light. Like I said, think Dallas, but they're Latin and they're here in Los Angeles. But that's the thing about working on a TV show, the family and the camaraderie that you develop with one another. I mean, I may not see them for a couple months, and then when we get back on set to film, it's, hey, how's it going? It's just like nothing's changed. The friendships are there. I love laughing with them and having a great time, and then we film.
You've worked behind the camera and in front of the camera. Do you enjoy one more than the other?
Is it egocentric to say you like being in front of the camera? I do like to perform in front of the camera quite a bit. So even when sorry about the screen again, because even when I was directing and I was writing the project, I wrote it for me to be in. Like, I had many people in college was like, oh, great that you're writing this, but maybe you should cast someone else so you can really get the full director thing. And I go, no, this is a vehicle for me, that I can do all three. So a lot of people fight me on that one, but I had to, firmly say no. As many years as I've had to audition for roles and not get them because I'm not maybe tall enough, or maybe I'm not, strong enough, or who the heck knows the reasons why you don't get the gig. This is a gig I know I'm going to get. I know the character. I'm writing it. I'm going to direct myself. I see so many great directors doing it. Why can't I? And it was the best choice I made to actually be in it, and then go and run and see the dailies or the playback and go, okay, that works, and oh, let's do it again. And so it was a tremendous experience. So I love being in front of the camera and being able to move somebody, whether it's through laughter or an emotion or something. But I do love writing too, because I know, yeah. To answer your question, in front of the camera is my favorite, but the others, they're close.
No. When we were talking about Sangre Negra, you were talking about all the different ethnicities that are represented on the show. Do you
Mm-hmm.
feel, as a Latino, some type of responsibility to serve as a role model? Like, has that ever occurred to you?
It's a great question. When I was auditioning years prior, I think it's changed a lot now, especially with people being more accepting of people of color and trying to raise the equality. I mean, years back, I remember auditioning for, like, it just seemed like it was never ending stereotypical roles. The janitors, the garbage man, the gangster, the bad guy, or the Latin lover. I mean, it was like those were it. Um, Sangre Negra was about showing the opposite of that. Like, we are as equal and as smart and as talented as anybody. We can play lawyers, we can play doctors, we can play cops, we can play senators. And even when I write today, unless it's for a specific role, I want to be able to show us in a light where anybody can play that role.
It makes me think of Rita Moreno. And I I never saw her as Latina or as Caucasian, or
Not at
I never
all.
thought of that. I just remember seeing her, and then it wasn't until I got older that I started appreciating. So I already appreciated her talents. She had
Of
already
course.
won me there. But then it was like, wow, like she is a Latina that has accomplished a great deal. And it wasn't until I got older, and certainly when I was living in California, where I developed this whole new appreciation for her, of how much she had been able to accomplish in what I didn't realize was a time where that was really challenging for Latinos to be able to get those types of roles. Like she was in my favorite all-time movie, Singing in the Rain.
Oh, she's Rita Moreno is in Singing in the Rain. That's a favorite movie of mine too.
Yes, you've seen the movie. Like that's like my
I own the movie. I mean, I'm big. I love musicals.
Oh, so you see, you gotta watch it. It's at. I don't want to completely give it away. It's toward the beginning of the movie. Yeah, beginning of the movie.
How am I
It's when
forgetting this?
they're going, it's when they're going in to see a movie and it's a red carpet. I'll leave it there.
Oh, oh, okay. Yes, 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 yes.
There.
I pride myself on being a movie connoisseur. Like I watch
You
movies,
didn't
and
know that?
well,
Ooh.
it's not that I didn't know. I can't believe I forgot it. But I thought you were going to say West Side Story. I was like, oh, Rita Moreno, West Side Story. But
That's
that's
easy.
I there's so much going on. But that's Rita Moreno surpasses the color line. I mean, her talents just do that. I mean, she's an EGOT. You know, Emmy, Golden Globe, Oscar, Tony. You know what I mean? There's only five people that are performers that have that's pretty fantastic. So when you reach that level, like I said, you surpass. Until you get to that level, at least hopefully not nowadays, but back then, until you get to that level, you were just had a, you fit where you can fit, and sometimes. So yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting Rita a couple times during some of my Emmy events, and I got to meet her because she's doing One Day at a Time, and I went to a One Day at a Time screening. They showed 2 episodes, and she was there, so got to shake her hand or whatever, and it was thrilling. It was that's the thing about also living out here that I really enjoy, because I go to see a lot of movies. Not now, and I won't go to movies now, not till things are better. I don't care if people are 6 feet apart and they're wearing a mask, and
You're
I'll miss it.
like me.
Yeah, I will miss it because I love movies. But what I love about living out here in Los Angeles and Hollywood is, I'll give you an example. I went a couple years back to see the double feature, Young Frankenstein and The Producers. Young Frankenstein is one of my all-time favorite comedies, if not the top. That, Airplane, Tootsie, kind of like that. At the intermission, after Young Frankenstein finished, we're ready to watch Producers next. The lights turn on, and the guy who runs the theater is like, "We have a surprise for you, unexpected." He was driving home and he happened to see, this was on the marquee. Everybody, Mel Brooks. And
Oh
Mel Brooks
wow.
walks in and
Oh.
did like a 20-minute interview talking about it, joking around, everything. And I went, only in LA and Hollywood does that happen. And that's happened a lot for me when I've gone to screenings and seeing somebody show up, or, the director, actors, whatever, show up. That I love, and that I do miss.
Oh, how nice. That must have been a thrill. I have to say, I had the chance to meet Rita Moreno at an event as well. She was in front of me, and yeah, I wasn't shy. I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, yeah, I have to. And so I spoke to her very briefly. And actually, I had forgotten about this. When I was in high school, I got on this kick that I was writing to actors that I liked and
Hmm.
asking for their autographs. And so she actually saw, I don't know, but I got an autographed picture of her sent to me. Well, I know that you have some projects in development. You mentioned a screenplay that you're working on that's due soon.
Yeah,
I know you have a few other projects. Talk to us about them.
yeah, yeah. I mean, right now I've been hired to rewrite a screenplay, which is great. People hire me to, make it better, and I'm grateful for that. But I have 2 films that are coming out. One is called Branded, which has now been renamed Nobody's Angel. We're hoping maybe sometime this year we'll see it. But I shot that in Birmingham, Alabama for about 6 weeks. that was a great time. I helped, I co-produced that. Was a lead actor. Nobody's Angels, I would call it Lethal Weapon meets Alabama, kind of like that. So that's kind of vibe. And then last year, I had a great time filming Switch That Love, which is a romantic comedy. I was in Atlanta for about 3.5 weeks or so. A wonderful time. I'm a co-producer on that. We're in the final stages of editing. The trailer is out. And hopefully maybe sometime this year, maybe we'll see that as well too. So I'm grateful that I have stuff that's coming out. Sangre Negra, Nobody's Angels, and Switch That Love.
There's some people you just can't get enough of, and Danny Arroyo is one of those.
Part two, yay.
So we finished our last conversation. We were talking about movies and that you enjoy going to the movies, and you've had the opportunity to be at certain screenings where actors that were in those films participated. And I thought, yeah, that's got to be pretty cool.
This is my favorite thing. I love the fans that get so into that they applaud and cheer. I have friends of mine who hate that. I love it. It just raises the intensity. You love the film, and all of a sudden you see, a good part's going to come up, and the audience is like, woo, and we're cheering, and all of a sudden your energy rises. You're going, this is why I come and watch movies on the big screen, because of this. Close Encounters on the big screen. Empire Strikes Back on the big screen kicks watching it at homes, but 100% of the time. Superman the movie,
I saw that for part 2, you changed shirts. I gotta say, you got my support, but I don't know that I want to see Bite in the big screen.
Oh, it looks great on the big screen. It looks great. I've seen it on the big screen at least 6 or 7 times now with film festivals. You know what's a great feeling? Knowing, having seen the film so many times, where you expect the laugh to come and it's like around this time it's going to come, and then you hear it. It's great. The reverse is knowing usually where a laugh is going to come and you're waiting for it and they don't. That's just, it's painful. And it makes you then think going, do I need to re-edit? Do I need to do anything? No, sometimes it's the crowd and it's whatever. And, you go with the average. More people laughed than didn't. Keep it. But it can be painful. My own screenplay, I have a romantic comedy called Lonely Saturday Night Syndrome that I am writing. The premise of that is when you are in a relationship, usually Saturday nights are always something that you do with your significant other. What happens when you're no longer with that person? Because during the week, you have work, you have classes, you have whatever, so they can kind of more or less keep you busy. But here comes Saturday night, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, what do I do? And that's when usually the times where the most bad things will happen, because you may reach out to that ex or something because you're lonely. So that's what I wrote this, and it's called Lonely Saturday Night Syndrome, because Saturday night is the loneliest night of the week when you're going through a breakup. And it's about people who have gone through breakups and what they do to try to, cope and get by and figure out until they're better, Based on a lot of stories that I interviewed a lot of my friends and myself who have gone through breakups. How did you feel? What happened to you? What was your experience? How did you get past it? Why did it happen? So I just took all these stories and I made it into this really, really fun script that I'm, have the outline completely done, and I'm about 60 pages in. And I think another like 35 or 40 more pages, and then it'll be done. Great.
Very cool. Well, I shared with you before we started the interview that I had a little surprise and a little fun that I wanted to have.
Okay.
I've never done this with a guest. So we know your love for movies. We touched a little bit on meditation. Some people may have heard some subtleties that we were discussing. We primarily had the conversation offline, but you have an interest in meditation and comic books, which you did touch upon. So, bear with me.
Yes.
I'm prepared with sound effects. I don't know how this is going to work. Well, let's see. I need my sound effects. Welcome to Comic Book Trivia with Danny Arroyo.
Oh, we're doing this.
Danny.
Okay. Comic book trivia.
We're going to do a little comic book trivia. I will read a question to you. You will have 4 answers to select from. And if you get the right answer, you will hear this sound. Forgive me, I need to find the sound. That will be the correct sound. However, if you get the wrong sound, if you get the wrong question, if you get the wrong answer.
Okay.
So let's see how good you are at comic book trivia.
Okay. Let me hold my iPad for good luck. Here we go.
That's funny. Question number 1.
Mm-hmm.
What Chester Gould character made his first appearance in the Detroit Free Press on October 4th, 1931? Is it A, Flash Gordon, B, Dick Tracy, C, Buck Rogers, or D, Superman?
It's not Superman because he was 1939. I'm going to say it's either Buck Rogers or Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon. Buck Rogers came after Flash Gordon, I think. I'm going to say Flash Gordon.
Wrong answer, Danny.
Was I wrong on all?
The correct answer is Dick Tracy. Chester Gould's immortal Dick Tracy made his first appearance in the Detroit Free Press on October 5th, 1931. Modeled after the innovative Sherlock Holmes, Dick Tracy introduced the world to new crime-fighting technologies such as the two-way wrist TV and the engineless car that took the detective to the moon.
Hey, I knew that Superman came out in 1939, so dang, wow.
You thought this interview was going to be easy, huh?
Okay.
Question number 2.
I won't forget that now.
Now you can add this to your phone. Question number 2.
Okay.
Edwin Jarvis serves as butler to what super team? A, Teen Titans, 2, Fantastic Four, 3, Avengers, or 4, Justice League?
That would be right here, Iron Man's guy, Avengers.
I'm trying to get my button.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Avengers. When Iron Man or Tony Stark first joined the Avengers, he offered his family mansion as the team's headquarters. Since that day, Jarns, the Stark family butler, has maintained his residence in the mansion and has served as better to Earth's mightiest heroes. Mm-hmm. Very good.
You tossed me a softball on that one, but thank you for that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Question number 3. Who was the first costumed superhero? A, Crimson Avenger, B, the Phantom, C, Superman, or D, Arrow?
It's not Arrow. What was A again?
A, Crimson Avenger, B, the Phantom, C, Superman, or D, Arrow?
I would say, did Phantom come before Superman? There's no way. Phantom. I'm going to go with Phantom.
Correct! The Phantom. The Phantom was the first fictional hero to wear the skin-tight costume, which has become a hallmark of comic book superheroes. He first appeared in a daily newspaper strip on February 17th, 1936.
So here's my trivia. Obviously, you know who my favorite superhero is right now. That's cool. But who was my favorite superhero growing up? And still is to this day, but this guy now is number 1. But who was growing up back in the day?
Are there movies about him or her?
Yes. Movies, there's been cartoons, everything.
I was going to say, does he have a superpower? But of course he does.
Yes, he has a superpower, and he was my favorite growing up.
Has he been named in any of the questions?
No.
Spider-Man?
Yeah, Spider-Man. Yep.
I'm giving myself the correct answer.
Give yourself that credit. Yeah. Spider-Man for me growing up was my favorite. That's who I collected mostly in my collection. I had Spider-Man's #1 through 500, all his titles, and sold my collection in order to start my career.
So now, if you check your email, you actually won. You have a prize for winning the comic book trivia. So if you check your email, I don't know if you have your phone handy. I want to see your reaction to your prize.
Let me see. Oh, see, look what I have on my phone. See.
You're not kidding.
Oh, there it is. I see it on my computer. Very cool.
So for those who may be wondering, yeah, oh, let's see now. You can't, well, wait. You got a trophy.
There it is.
Comic book trivia winner, Danny Arroyo. Woo!
I like that. You definitely do more of that on your interviews.
Well, that's why you may have wondered why I was asking, because I asked him some questions, like hobbies, things that you enjoy doing, because I wanted to make it fun. And I was like, meditation? Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with meditation. I thought maybe if you said cooking, I was going to turn this into a cooking segment.
Yeah, I wouldn't be good at that. But I barely just pepper my food.
The options you gave me, I thought comic book, and I was like, what do I do? What do I do with comic books? And now I'm starting to channel Jimmy Fallon. So if you had said TikTok, maybe I would have given you a dance-a-thon or something. We would have competed.
I don't even have TikTok on my phone. Look, I just got Zoom today so I can have this meeting with you.
I moved you into a new century with Zoom. But thank you for playing comic book trivia. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day as I guess we're in somewhat semi-quarantine. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I've been showing something to Danny during our breaks before we started, and it seems like a lovely way to end the segment.
Yes. You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have. Absolutely.
It seems fitting, in fact, in light of everything that's happening.
Yeah, it does. Just stay safe, and everybody else watching out there, we will get past this. Things will get better. Just during quarantine, just do the best you can to just be and maybe come out of this a better person than you were when you went in.
Absolutely. Abrazos, saludos, solamente en español. Hugs, kisses, only in Spanish. Next interview, watch them in Spanish.
Yes, well, I'll be better. I'm going to work on it.
Danny, it's been a pleasure. Stay safe. Look forward to talking to you real soon.